Boom! Shots have been fired. Leica takes aim at Sony for their E-mount. All that and more coming up here on The Morning Jolt. What's up, guys? Mark back here, finally with yet another video. How the hell is everyone? So, without further ado, let's jump right in. Leica is taking aim at Sony for their E-mount. So, first of all, I've talked about Sony's E-mount before, how it was never really designed for full-frame lenses. Several other YouTubers out there on the inner tubes, they're talking about it. They're going, Sony's E-mount is never really meant for full-frame glass. And yet, that seems to be all they're friggin' developing is more full-frame lenses. And they do it literally all the time and ignoring their crop sensor shooters. Yeah, well, what do you do? I know what I do. I just adapt Sigma lenses. But yeah, Leica taking aim at Sony's E-mount, saying that they never really were meant for full-frame glass. And yet, that's all they've been developing here lately is full-frame glass. Sounds to me like someone's a bit jealous. Oh, woo. So, before you Leica fanboys jump on my rear end, I'm just going to say, Leica makes a nice product, but it ain't that nice. I mean, who wants to spend that level of money for marginal image quality performance? It ain't like it's that good. And you all know what I'm talking about. You all have seen the images. You all have looked at all of the specs. You all have looked at all of the samples. They're not that much better. On the magnitude of probably 3 to 4 times the amount that it costs to buy other lenses. Leica just thinks way too highly of their product. That's kind of the running theme with the Germans. I mean, I know that they made a nice tank.
Uns, we are the superior camera.
But come on now, that was 50 or 60 years ago. Don't worry, Germans, we forgive you. We're not super mad, just still a little bit hurt. But I happen to be reading an article over at Petapixel, and I'll put the link down to it in the description box below, where a Leica exec was basically going, the Sony E-mount was not designed for full-frame glass. And to a certain extent, they're right. Mainly because that particular mount did first appear on Sony's crop sensor camera, the NEX5. He essentially says the L mount was developed in order to have all kinds of autofocus optics for full frame with sufficient diameter. And on the other side, in order to realize to compact lenses for APS as well. It was not developed for APS. It was always designed with full frame in mind, even though we came to market with APS first. Hey, and I think that's great. I think that is forward thinking. That is forward looking. But my whole gripe with this particular argument actually is found down in the comments section below this article. The first comment was by a guy named Christopher Grandison. He says, okay, but obviously Sony found a way to work around any of the difficulties he imagines. What's his point? You know what? And I said the exact same thing. I was like, what's your point, man? Like, we know, but yet they're still doing it. Like I said, I've heard other YouTubers on the inner tubes saying, yeah, same thing. Oh, this wasn't really designed for full-frame glass. But whatever it was designed for, or not designed for that matter, what difference does it make if they're still designing glass that fits on the mount problem-free? I mean, you can say what you want, and you can be super-duper technical or super-duper whatever, but the fact of the matter is that Sony has been developing a massive amount of full-frame glass almost exclusively at the neglect of all their APS-C shooters that not only fit perfectly and project on the sensor perfectly, but are literally some of the sharpest, most clinically, technically perfect lenses you can buy in that price point. Or hell, a lot of price points, even far above. Leica, don't be jealous, bitch. Don't be a jealous little bitch. If you want more sales, you shouldn't be taking pot shots at your competition. You should be lowering that price. You know what? But you can't. You can't. You've got the Lamborghini. You got the Rolls Royce of cameras now, and you don't want to piss off your other shooters. So now you have to, you just have to suck it up. Like, if you're going to pigeonhole yourself into a premium market, accept your fate that literally 16 people all over the planet are the only ones that are going to be buying that camera. But yes, to Christopher Grandison's comment, an apologist comes in and swoops in to help try and save Leica's little rear end. What does he say, you ask? Well, allow me to tell you. He says, when engineers have to spend more time and resources as a band-aid to work around an obvious oversight, that cost is passed on to the consumer. The point is camera makers with larger mounts have more flexibility when designing a lens. A larger mount allows engineers breathing room. Are you serious? That cost is passed on to the consumer, and yet here we sit, and Leica is 4 times more expensive than Sony. Now look, I understand that fanboys want to protect their investments. They really want to, they have to defend it. But this logic is literally on the Riri. It's on the Riri. It's on the worst side. Like, you could have not picked a worse company to be defending about cost to the consumer. I'm sorry, man, your argument just falls completely apart. When you pick up a Leica for 10 grand and $3,000 to $4,000 lenses, I don't think cost to the consumer should be your argument. And that leads me to the next comment to good old Ernest Green here from another individual named R.I. or R.L. I can't really tell, but I think it's R.I. And he says, given that Sony's cameras do more for less than Leica, Canon, or Nikon equivalents, isn't it pretty clear that cost wasn't passed on to the consumer here? Honestly, I think that it is an absolute technical feat of engineering that Sony's engineers have managed to take what some people might consider a disadvantage, maybe even a complete and total lack of foresight on their part, and have basically built one of the biggest, most powerful, modern-day mirrorless empires ever. And it didn't take them 50 years to do it either. They don't have a vast camera heritage like Leica, or Canon, or Nikon, or any of the other ones, and yet they are beating them at almost every single turn when it comes to technology, innovation, image quality, value, performance, features, everything you could possibly imagine. Sony is knocking it out of the park. I don't care what sort of fanboy camp you're on. You're either in one of the other ones, you're going, man, I wish I had that. That would be so cool if I had it. Or, dang, I spent this much on that lens and that's the kind of image quality they getting. Look, Leica shooters, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here to tell y'all, it ain't our fault that you all bought into one of the most expensive camera systems on the planet. Look, you're suckers. You've got more money than sense. Oh, look, if you just want to be a gloating, asshole, then fine. Like, you got it. You got to go gloat. But no one cares. No one gives any shits. It is true that Sony's mount is, in fact, the smallest mount out of all of their competitors, whether that be Canon, Leica, or Nikon. The Sony E-mount is about 46.1 millimeters wide. Canon's EF mount, which was already one of the biggest mounts on the market up until just last month, came in at 46.5 millimeters. Leica's mount comes in at 48.8 millimeters. The Canon RF mount comes in at 54 millimeters, and Nikon's new Z mount comes in at 55 millimeters. And while a nice deep throat is pretty useful like this,
500 рублей.
oh damn, or like this. That is an impressive throat diameter. But breaking it all down, what difference does it make when you literally have no competition? Sony might be the smallest, but gosh darn it, they know how to work it. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. So my question of the day is, does your throat diameter really make a difference? Can you tell any tangible, real world differences between a smaller throat diameter in the E-mount or some large diameter like in the Canon RF mount or the Nikon Z mount? And if you can't, you just think Leica's being a little bitch, then give me a whoop whoop down in the comments section below. At any rate, that's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and if you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you happen to enjoy this video. Thanks so much for watching yet another Morning Jolt episode here on The Photo Video Show. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I'm going to see you guys again on You're a Jealous Bitch, the next one. Peace out!